Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Principles of Leadership. Like in SHA Data University, we help freshers and professionals to build their career in one of the leading technology in IT. So, when I talk about principles of leadership, the principle that I follow as a leader should have clarity in mind, purity in heart, and sincerity in action. So, to elaborate that, let me introduce my guest today, this is Dr. Surbhi Jain. She is having 14 years of experience in education sector and parent and like she's having most experience in education sector. So let me introduce Surbhi Jain and
Thank you so much, Sanjay, for inviting me for this talk show today. I'm very, very honored to be here. And to
yeah.
everybody who's listening today, let me introduce myself briefly. Uh, I'm Dr. Surbhi Jain. I've done my PhD in management, and it covers two fields. It covers both human resources and marketing.
Okay.
I'm an author of seven internationally published
Mhm.
books. These books cover leadership, corporate management, HR, change management, right? And that gives me expertise in this area of leadership. Like Mr. Sanjay
Right.
said, I've been working for 14 years and I've grown very quickly from teaching positions to management positions and now into leadership positions. Currently, I work as a dean for Rotman College in Wharton College, US, right? And as part of my profile, I worked with colleges which are the best in the world. That includes Harvard, Oxford, Stanford, Columbia Business School, and Bocconi, right?
Great. Great.
The reason that I'm here today, like Mr. Sanjay said, is to talk about leadership, and I'm very happy to share my thoughts with you.
Right. So, as a leader, like you have managed many teams. So, what are the challenges that you have faced, and how you overcome that?
As I moved into leadership teams, as leadership positions, I realized that it's very important for me to first assess myself as what kind of a leader I am, right? So, in textbooks we read that there are eight types of leaders. There's autocratic, bureaucratic, there's a strategic
Right.
leader, right? And all of that knowledge, you can do a Google search and you'll find all of that, right? What I have
Right.
realized is that not one leader that I have worked with in my life or I've met has can be fit into one neat little box saying that you are an autocratic leader or you are a strategic leader. There's always a little mix. So the challenge that I faced as a leader was first understanding my own leadership style. But the beautiful outcome of that was by understanding that I am a mix of democratic leader and strategic leader, and I'm happy to explain that later on in this chat. But by understanding what kind of a leader I am, I was able to study and understand more of what strategies I can use, which fit my style and which would be the most beneficial to my team. Plus, I could get the best results both for the business that I'm working for, plus all of my teammates. So the challenge actually turned out to be a blessing in long run.
Right. Exactly. That should be the uh, real leadership, basically. So, now, what are the principles? Like, if you are supposed to share the or suggest some principles that, like, those professionals who are upcoming leaders or those who are into leadership but not able to follow the principles. So,
Yeah.
in any domain, like, if you can,
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be happy to do that. So, what I've recognized is that a leader has to answer to two parties, right? He's kind of answerable to the team because he is responsible for their growth and their well-being and their
right,
outputs. Plus, the leader is also responsible to the
right,
organization that they're working for. So it's a very tricky
Mm-hmm.
thing to balance both things, right? The organization wants output and nothing else, right? Like obviously the organization
Right.
cares about its employees, but the primary goal is output, right? The results. Everybody wants to see results and the numbers and targets and profit margins. That's all that they're talking about, right? And there is just maybe a little bit of a conversation about organizational structure and growth and development. On the other hand, a leader has to worry about that growth, that development, right? So I think the
Right.
most important principle that have worked for me as a leader is first of all actually being very invested in your team, understanding each individual uh, with their strengths and weaknesses. Based on their strengths, you can allocate the right tasks to them and draw out the best out of them. If you know that they have a weakness, you can make sure that they are not put a burden of that area of weakness that they have, and maybe some other team member can then do it, right?
Exactly.
A few other
Exactly.
things that have really worked very well for me, and I'm proud to say that my team loves me, and I have been able to make all of my team, not all, most of my team members reach their goals in terms of professional growth and personal development. So that's worked for me is I make sure that I'm very very transparent in my communication, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Mm-hmm.
having said that, that's easy to say that be transparent, but it's very difficult because obviously, as a leader, you have information that you are privy to that you're not supposed to share with anybody, right? So, for
Right.
example, if a merger is coming up, right, I know as a
Mm-hmm.
leader, but I cannot tell my whole team because that will create chaos and panic and job insecurity.
Exactly.
Keeping those things aside, there is so much more that leaders keep to themselves that they should be sharing with their team. Right? If a new project is coming up, you tell your team that this project is coming up. These are the areas I'm going to need to be working on. If you already have that skill, raise your hand up and tell me. If you don't, start developing that skill if you want to grow in this organization. And if you give that kind of guidance to your team members, I'm sure they'll do well, right? Plus,
Exactly.
the other benefit of doing that is these people see that you're actually caring about them, you're sharing this information because you
Mm-hmm.
want them to exceed. They will put in double the effort than they would have ordinarily done. So I think
Right.
that's a principle that's worked for me.
Exactly. Being a leader, like you should grow, and your team members should also grow. That should be the policy one leader should have. Correct.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now you are into like uh, helping teenagers for their career in high income growth. Like you are
Absolutely.
into a mission, right? So can you just tell me about your mission?
So I'm on a mission to help 1 million parents to guide their children properly to find the right career. So what I'll tell you what happens with parents is we have been brought up in a generation where we've been taught that go for a safe career, right? Become a doctor, engineer, lawyer, CA, manager, right?
Exactly.
And most other fields, although they are so lucrative, parents are
Hmm.
scared to send their children there, right?
Right.
The world is completely changing, and in 5 years all of this will be gone. Like
Exactly.
very recently an AI software called Wilson has come in the US, and what Wilson does is it has downloaded all of the laws, rules and regulations and all of the case history of the US Constitution, right? And initially what the junior lawyers used to do the research work and find these cases and find how we could win this case, Wilson does that in 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Right.
So the role of these paralegals or the junior lawyers is gone.
Hmm.
And this is going to
Exactly.
happen in every field, right? So I
Exactly.
have come up with a program which helps parents, and if even if you're not a parent, if you yourself are looking for a career, this is going to be really, really helpful. What it does is it shows you what are the upcoming 20 best future proof high income careers, right?
Hmm.
Which will be live in the world in the next 5 years and in high demand, high paying. Plus, I
Okay.
also guide all of the students with what kind of skill development courses they can take. Uh, In addition to that, because like I said, I am in touch with Harvard, Oxford, Stanford, and I have great connections everywhere. What I'm able to do, that these schools don't just take this 70 lakh fee for a course, they also offer free courses, but to a very limited population. I can get people access to those free courses. That means you sitting at home can become a Harvard graduate free of cost. So that's the value that I add. And imagine if you
Okay.
had a Harvard degree, the companies would
Yeah.
beg you to join them, right?
Right.
So that's
Exactly.
the value that I add for people.
It's a great job. Like I was not aware that Harvard is giving a free certificate,
That's
free
what.
grad certificate.
Mr.
Okay.
Sanjay,
Great.
this is a live example because parents they want to give the best education to their children. But if I ask
Exactly.
a random parent that do you want your child to have the best education, they'll say yes. But if I say do
Hmm.
you want to send them to Harvard, they'll say no. Why? Because they think
Exactly.
they don't have the spending capacity of 70 lakh to 1 crore.
Right.
But
Right.
immediately after that, if I tell them what if they can do it for free, they'll say yes
Mhm.
immediately. So the
Yeah.
problem is not with parents wanting them to study abroad. The problem is they're not aware कि ये free में भी होता है. This happens for free,
Right.
right? So if I
Exactly.
can create
Exactly.
that awareness and show them how to get it for free, I think a lot of people's life will be set.
But one more thing, like I tried personally when I started my company. Like I used to train a few people free, but people doesn't give value for free.
I'll tell
Like
you, there are two things that work. Either they pay money and they think that it's worth it, right? They would pay.
right.
I'll tell you, a youngster would pay 5,000 rupee for a shoe, but not 2,000 for a course. That's the problem,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly
So
the
they
same
feel
thing.
the more money they're paying, the more worth something is. The second is the brand name. So if you or
Right.
I, Dr. Surbhi Jain, is not known by anyone, she's not written any books, why would anybody come to me, right? Say. So if it's Harvard
Exactly.
and free, it works. But if it's Surbhi and free, it doesn't work. That's what the problem is.
Exactly. Exactly. Because I have a bitter experience when I giving them free courses. Like what I do, like in my program, people from any background, any
Yeah.
graduate, like BCom, BA, even BTech, they have got a bright career in IT, in core IT. And
Yeah.
people are getting it like within, say, 2 years, people are earning 11, 12 lakhs in MNCs. Okay, where a BTech without any skill, they are earning, say, 3 lakh, 4 lakh for so long. And when I call them and tell them that this is the thing that you can get into within 6 months, but they are not ready to transform themselves. That is the main mindset of the youngsters right now.
I think there are a lot of trust issues with youngsters because they've already invested some money into their graduation and they find it very difficult to, put in more money elsewhere. But another
Right.
thing I think is there are very few people who give the right guidance, right? And
Exactly.
creating that trust with youngsters, showing them proof of what you've already established might be able to convince them. But I'm sorry about that. But what happens, I think, if we are able to, even if one person has benefited out of your course, that's proof enough that this works, right? So people should trust that, and you doing an amazing job, sir. You've done. I know I've followed you, so I know that you've done so much good for so many people, and anybody who comes and joins you. You know you're basically making their path to success much easier than it is
Right.
right now for them,
Right.
right? You're removing all of these
Because
roadblocks that they will take years to cross and you're making them do it in months, so it's
right,
amazing.
right. The way we are doing, because see, it's not a book-based training. Because
Yeah.
whatever we read in a book and whatever we are doing practically, that's completely different. And like I have got 20 years of experience, my partner has got 20 years of experience. I whoever is coming to join us, they all are being trained by us. So I don't have any faculty and all these things. So whatever life scenarios we have done it, we try to implement that into them, so that whenever they will join the industry, they will face the same issues, same scenarios, so they can work on it. So anyway, come to this, you are author of 7 books. Can you just describe the books, and it's internationally published books. So if someone wants to read those books, how will they avail that, and what are the topics that you have covered?
Okay. So my books have been published by a Canadian publisher called Society Publishers, right? And
Hmm.
they're available on a website, and I can share the details if you want to share it with your audience. Arcelor Education, right?
Yeah, I
They're
will
all available
just
online,
share
and they
me. I
can
will share that in the description of this YouTube channel and
absolutely, absolutely.
and what book you suggest for leadership? Those who want to read some books and all, if you can suggest any book for them
Yeah.
for developing the
So
leadership.
you know what has worked for me, so there are a lot of books on leadership, but they mostly sound like a textbook and they're very repetitive, all of them. So what
Yeah.
actually worked for me is actually reading biographies of leaders, right?
Hmm.
And I read lots of them, everything from Warren Buffett to Steve Jobs to Bill Gates. So if you can read autobiographies or biographies of these leaders of the world that have changed the world, imagine if you knew what was going on in Elon Musk's mind, right?
Right.
That would give you more valuable leadership lessons than any other book could. So I
Hmm.
would suggest our audience to definitely go for autobiographies and biographies of the leaders of this world.
Okay, great. And my last question is you have started your journey in a education sector, and still you are in now you are into management. So how the journey of was the journey smooth from education sector to management?
So I, for some reason, I always knew that I wanted to be a teacher. Even after my
Hmm.
MBA, I got placed in an HR job, and I did not take that because I still wanted to teach. I went back to my hometown, started teaching ninth standard, and it's a very funny story because I got invited to a wedding, and I was having dinner and talking to two gentlemen, and I did not even know who they were. And later on, I got a call saying that the two people you were talking to were the trustees of an MBA college in Mumbai. So, and they were very impressed. So, they want you to come and teach. And I went to Mumbai. I mean, I came here in Mumbai and started teaching. I was in the teaching role for about 5 years, but then as I changed organizations, the leaders in my organization recognized that I had great management and leadership skills, so I got promoted very quickly. And
Okay.
after doing my PhD and publishing my books, that level of popularity and influence improved a little bit, and that's the reason I'm where I am. There were obviously a lot of challenges. There's a lot of competition. There's a little bit of office politics. You can't avoid that. But
That will
I
be part
think
of life.
being honest to my work and actually loving my work led me to where I am today.
Yeah, because why I ask this question, there are many faculties and all, they want to move their career, but since industry doesn't give experience for the faculties, like if you go from a faculty or a teacher to any corporate, they will not grant their experience as if. So that's the reason, if someone, if my audience, they are into faculty post and they want to move into corporate, what are the challenges they could face and how to overcome that?
Yeah. Moving up the corporate ladder depends 2% on luck and 98% on these things. So your networking skills, right?
Hmm.
Very important, right? Being able
Exactly.
to become part of innovative projects, because if you're just doing the same thing over and over, even if you're brilliant at it, that's not going to work in your favor. But if you can show people or leaders specifically that you can do different things and you can bring in innovative ideas, or you can solve a problem creatively, that actually shows that you're a very valuable resource, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
The third thing is work on your communication skills. because it might not matter when you're at entry level positions, but as you grow in your organization, communication definitely matters. It's unfortunate that in India it's not Hindi but it's English, but that's the world
Exactly.
we are living in. And because we have to adapt to situations, I would 100% suggest to invest time in business communication skills, learn those. And the last and most important thing is, and you might have heard this over and over again, but I'm telling you that this works. You have to behave and dress and act like you're already a leader, right? So
Exactly.
if you start doing that, people start seeing you as a leader. If you behave like an employee, you will be treated and known as an employee. So I think
In
those are
Hindi
the
में
things.
हिंदी में हम लोग एक बोलते हैं जो दिखता है वही बिकता है. If you are showing as a
Exactly.
leader, you will be treated as a leader.
Absolutely. Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. So, thank you very much for your time, and hope this session has given a lot of information regarding the leadership, career oriented. And if someone wants to read the book, so you will get the details in the description. And if you want to connect, I will put the details of Dr. Surbhi Jain in the description, so you can connect her and get yourself ready for your career.
All the
Okay,
best, everyone. Thank you, sir, for having me. It was a pleasure.
thanks all.